NFL Week 15 was plenty of fun. I mean, we had the Falcons doing the most Falcons thing. We had the biggest upset, I would say, of the season. We also had a great couple games. And, I mean, we know Monday Night Football like we had last week. No game of the year, but we had some great action nonetheless. But thank you all for tuning in this week. This is, of course, our fourth and long NFL Week 15 breakdown. I'm your host, Ross Allen, joined alongside the AK Alex Kropp right here. Alex, you ready to get into things?
I am ready. Let's get after it.
I know you have a couple games that you're looking forward to the most, so
I
I got
am.
I can't wait to get to that Monday Night Football game. And so you might have seen already. If you saw my responses on Twitter at Fourth Long Radio, you would know what I have to say about this. But we'll get to that in a moment. But let's start things off, Alex. Chargers at Raiders. Chargers taking this one 30-27. We had Marcus Mariota stepping up big time for the Oakland Raiders as Derek Carr left the game somewhat early with a groin injury. And we had this game turn to a battle of Oregon quarterbacks. And,
Yeah.
I mean, Mariota didn't do half bad, too. I mean, about 230 yards, touchdown, interception, but also 88 yards rushing, a touchdown. Kind of what old school Marcus Mariota does best. And Justin Herbert, another 300-plus yard game, another couple tutters. But ultimately, we had the Raiders falling to 2-5 at home. They're at risk of another losing season because as of right now, 7-7. Next games are the Dolphins and the Broncos. They could 8-8 more likely, but hey, who knows? The Raiders can really pull this one off. We're not put past them. We also have the meme too. Raiders still the only house in Vegas that loses.
Yeah, I mean, this is especially if the Raiders are trying to get that 8-8, not trying to get that losing season. You'll love to see the Broncos on the schedule as a Raiders fan.
Especially the last game of the
So
year too.
yeah, sorry for the early cheap shot there, Ross, but
It's all good.
yeah,
I'm
I mean
used
it's
to it.
battle of the Oregon quarterbacks. I mean, Mariota put up a really good statistical game, given the fact that he didn't have those first couple drives too, where
Mhm.
Carr was still running the offense. I thought he looked pretty good. Is it, could it be one of those situations where, Ryan Tannehill had a bad start to his career, went to Tennessee, took Mariota's job, resurged his career. Now Mariota gets dethroned by Ryan Tannehill, goes to Oakland. Maybe you see his career start to flip a little bit. I mean, he just looked pretty good. And this is kind of how we see the NFL offense is shifting towards this mobile quarterback that has, the ability to hurt you on the ground and still, be, somewhat of a threat in the air. So I think he looked good. He showed some things on tape. I don't know if that means he's going to stick with the Raiders or if another team's going to give him a shot. Maybe the Patriots. We've given a lot of potential quarterbacks to the Patriots in the last couple of weeks, but he didn't look too bad, and I think he might have warranted a starting shot or maybe one of those quarterback competitions in camp. So I think he did well for himself.
Mhm.
What I really loved to see out of this game was you saw Herbert. They go to overtime. They don't get the ball first. Oakland goes down, kicks a field goal. You thought, oh, Chargers again losing a close game, but no, he decided, let's go down. Let's go put a drive together, score a touchdown. They had to do it. They didn't settle for the field goal. They went for the jugular. They got the touchdown. Maybe you start to see this Chargers franchise flip a little bit because they have this quarterback that can now run that offense late in the game and get you to a W. So I saw good things out of both quarterbacks, and I think they have somewhat of a building block going to next year. Both these teams obviously aren't doing anything in the postseason, but they both have, I think, good bones of a team, and especially for this Chargers-led Herbert
Mhm.
offense, that kid is special, man. He's really, really special, and I really just want to see what he has to do next year.
Well, the Chargers fans, you have a lot to look for because you actually have a quarterback that can lead a clutch late game fourth quarter overtime drive without coming away with an interception. So I think that's plenty of improvement. You can also have a fantastic late game winning drive as well with Anthony Lynn as your head coach. So what can you do without him when you actually get some improvement going on? Chargers fans, you have a little bit to look forward to. Good for you guys. More than the Raiders at this point. And to your point, Marcus Mariota, I'm going to say he's probably a better starting quarterback than Derek Carr ultimately, at least in that offense, especially with a strong running game. The next game we had, I mean, if we look to we had two Saturday games for the first time this season. Always love some Saturday football. We had NFL go along with college championship Saturday, so that was a lot of fun. But what wasn't really fun though was the actual games themselves because hey, if Bills and Broncos, Panthers and Packers. If you flip the teams, have another Broncos Panthers game, have a Bills Packers game, then we got money right there. But with these two matchups, wasn't exactly the best, let's be honest, because we had the Bills rallying the Broncos 48-19. The Bills really just run away with this one early and often. They get their first division title since 1995, and Josh Allen yet again makes a case for him for MVP. He had 359 yards, 4 total touchdowns, 3 of them in the first half, and he just looks like a game leader at this point. Also helps that you have Stephon Diggs, another 100-plus yard receiving game, and he's just now 10 yards behind DeAndre Hopkins for first in the league. He's right now third, handful of yards behind Travis Kelce, and there's a lot of people that didn't like this move in the offseason. A lot of people are still saying, oh no, he's just going to have the same problems as he had in Minnesota, just with another team. And I really like this move. I thought it was even trade for both teams, quite honestly. And it's because the Vikings, it wasn't going to work out. You weren't able to keep Stephon Diggs anyway. And even with a little bit of leverage you had, you still got some good draft picks right there. And, I mean, look at their receiving core. If they're looking fire right now, the Bills are looking great right now. And this Bills offense is just firing on all cylinders at this point.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. The rare win-win trade for the Bills and the Vikings here. I think the Bills got a dynamic playmaker, a guy who just, I mean, so quickly. How quick did he and Josh Allen get this kind of rapport? I mean, it's
like 2 weeks in, right?
It's pretty remarkable. I mean, he's got over 1,000 yards, over 100 catches already, and we're still in week 16. He's got 2 weeks left.
I believe even it's the most single-season receptions in Bills history.
Wow, that's pretty shocking with 2 weeks left. And yeah. I think the craziest part about this Bills offense, and specifically Josh Allen, is, you usually see this jump year 2 to year 3. You see, does a quarterback have what it takes? Does he not have what it takes? But what you rarely see is a quarterback with this kind of makeup, who's kind of your Big Ben type. He's a little more mobile, kind of Big Ben guy, but his accuracy has drastically improved over from year 1, year 2 to year 3. And that was his biggest knock in college. He always had that howitzer, massive arm, had the athleticism, was big, could take the hits in the pocket, but his accuracy has gone another level, and his ability to read defenses has just made this offense so dynamic. And I think the best part about this offense now is they've run this 5-wide set a lot. They go empty. Devin Singletary is a great back out of the backfield catching the ball. But when they go empty, they have all of the options available to him in the pass game, but he also has the ability to run the ball, and it's almost like they're playing with another running back in the back.
Right. Also, let's not sleep on Cole Beasley at the slot too, because man,
agreed. He's out there. He can pick out mismatches. Stephon Diggs 1-on-1, go to him. Cole Beasley on a strong safety or linebacker, go to him. Anyone else is just, it's crazy. Gabe Davis is making incredible plays. John Brown's not even in this lineup, and they're clicking on all cylinders. I mean, this team is playing incredibly right now. I think it's safe to say, we'll get into this later, I imagine, that Pittsburgh is cooked. They're done. Bills are by far the second best team, pushing for the best team. And I don't know. I think it's going to be a slugfest with them and the Chiefs. And if that's not the AFC Championship game, I would be shocked.
I can't wait for that. The next game we had, though, of course, was the Panthers at the Packers. The Packers coming away with this one 24-16. And let's get to you, Alex, because you want a little bit of time with this. So Packers, they all but secured the number 1 seed right now, especially with the Saints loss, too. I mean, they had the tiebreaker anyways, but it's pretty much it's their spot to lose at this point. The Packers went 3 for 3 on touchdowns on their first 3 drives, and they kind of do nothing in the second half, but ends up not mattering too much. Rodgers, compared to what he's done, with the Met week overall, but he still looked fine. Aaron Jones, however, looked phenomenal, almost 150 rushing yards on the night. And what we want to talk about now is Matt Rule's game calling, his play calling late in the game. So let me set the stage for you. 2 minutes, 4 seconds left. You are the Panthers, and you're down by 11. You kick a field goal on first down, kind of pretty much in the red zone area. You make it. And then the defense forces a 3-and-out. The Packers even lose 8 yards on the next drive. The Panthers offense then just 4-and-out. Game over right there, and Rodgers gets the ball back with the kneel down. The Panthers have 1 timeout left doing this. They get the 2 extra play call at the 2-minute warning. A lot of people had some criticism from Matt Rule on this one. Alex, I disagree, but also, man, you got something to say about this, don't you? I'll take a deep breath. Yep.
This is me hyperventilating right now, listening to all the talk media on Monday morning. Everyone was knocking this sequence of events here by Matt Rule, but Matt Rule is an absolute genius. This is how we were supposed to handle down by 2 possessions, down by 11 or down by 10 in the last part of the game. Because what he did was very. This is the first time I've ever seen it. He had first and down, had 2 minutes and 11, 2 minutes 10 seconds on the clock. And instead of taking a couple shots to the end zone, which conventional thinking is it's harder to get the touchdown, take a couple shots in the end zone, and then kick your field goal. One problem with that is he had only one timeout left and a 2-minute warning coming up. So instead of taking those shots, burning that 2-minute warning, he kicks the field goal at 2:04, preserves his timeout, preserves the 2-minute warning, hits the field goal. And you could see him clearly on the sideline go up to Joey Slaw. He says, you better kick this ball out of the end zone. Because if he does not kick it out of the end zone on the kickoff, then they return it. They burn the 2-minute warning, and his plan is cooked. But he got the ball. He got the ball in the Packers' hands with 2 minutes, 4 seconds left. They ran the 3 and out. He had, 55, a minute left, and was able to get the ball back. Instead of, if he would have taken a couple shots, he would have had no time left because it would have been past the 2-minute warning. Even if he got the touchdown, they would have still needed to get the onside kick. So he was able to A, preserve his timeouts, B, get it to 1 possession still, and C, not just kick the onside kick. He was able to kick it deep. So when they did punt it back, it wasn't, at the 1 or 2 yard line or inside the 10 because So he had a chance at least. They had the ball at the 25-yard line. He gave their guys a chance. That's all you could ask for as a coach. This was the perfect way to run this scenario. That's how you draw it up by Matt Rule. Genius move by him. I don't care what anyone else says. This was the way to do it, to give them a slight chance at winning.
That's all you can do, especially with Aaron Rodgers as an opposing quarterback. Your chances of really getting the ball back anyway. What they did, that defensive stop was phenomenal itself. It was just that offensive drive ultimately ended up making everything not matter as much anyway. But, man, this is 100% the way to go. You are dead on the money with this one, do I have to say. Next game, though, we had a nice NFC South matchup between the Bucs at the Falcons. And in the most Falcons way ever, we had the Bucs coming back to win this game 31-27 because up 24-7 halfway through the third with a 95% chance of winning. What do the Falcons do but give up 17 unanswered to Tom Brady again? This time, a little less than what they had in the Super Bowl, but still give up a bunch of unanswered points. And the Bucs scored the game-winning touchdown with 6 minutes left to go in the game. Little Antonio Brown action right there. And with this loss, Alex, we said it a number of weeks ago. It's time just to reiterate it because obviously not enough people are getting the message. Falcons, it's time to blow it up. Seriously. Matt Ryan, look, it's not like your offense is the bad part. Matt Ryan, 350 yards, a few touchdowns, no interceptions. Calvin Ridley is looking fantastic too. Especially in the absence of Julio. It's not like a player problem. It's not like they had the wrong talent on the team. Maybe the defense. Maybe you can make an argument there, of course. But it's more of a culture problem. This organization, ever since that Super Bowl, has developed a culture of losing, and not just losing, but blowing games, not be able to hold on into anything late. So it's time just to blow it up. It's time to move on. It's time for a new era there in Atlanta. It's time to trade away these guys and just draft capital, younger players. Maybe keep Calvin Ridley, but Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, I think they have to go. And on the other side of the ball, though, we had Tampa. They're on the verge of ending the longest active playoff drought in the NFC. And they just finished their season against the Lions and the Falcons again. So, Bucs fans, you got something to look forward to. Falcons fans, you got a couple tough years. A couple more tough years to look ahead to.
There you go. This was a tough look for the Falcons. And what sucks about this game was that their defense was playing really, really well in the first half. And, it seems like when they were up 17-9 at halftime, their offense was clicking. Calvin Ridley and Matt Ryan clearly have a good rapport there. Matt Ryan put up 350 and 3 touchdowns. He's still got, plenty of juice in the tank.
He's got it, man.
His offensive line was protecting him. Tom Brady looked inept out there. I don't know what Bruce Arians said to him at halftime, but it clearly did something. But yeah, I mean, it's a culture problem. It's something about that self-fulfilling prophecy when you're down in that 17 to 24 range, or I guess 25 if you're counting 28 to 3 game. But it's just they think they're gonna lose, so that's what's gonna happen. And Tampa, on the other hand, something about this team, it's very similar to the Steelers, where in the Saints as well. It's just all these old quarterbacks. You just don't have any confidence that with any sort of pass rush and any sort of resistance from the defensive line that they can get the job done. And you can only rely on the wit, the smarts, seeing every defense. You can only rely on that so much. And I just think when they get into the playoffs, these 3 teams are going to struggle just because even though these guys have been there before, they just don't have the physical tools to be able to put together 60 minutes of winning football in the playoffs. So I'm worried about those 3 teams, and specifically this Bucs team, because I don't know, just something about that offense when it's not clicking, it looks really bad.
I'm still just not so on the Bucs. Is an overall product maybe in a couple of years. The only problem, a couple more years, but the only problem with that is Tom Brady only has 2 years left on the contract, and the way he's even going. I mean, this year too. I mean, he's
Gronk will be gone. AB will be gone.
It's going to be weird there in Bucs. You got a little bit of an issue brewing. But moving on to the next game, we had the 49ers at the Cowboys. The Cowboys taking this one 41-33. Alex, would it be a surprise to you if I said that turning the ball over is not beneficial towards a successful football game?
No, I think that would be right in line with the formula to winning and losing a game.
Okay, just checking here. I just didn't want to make sure. I just want to make sure that I'm not saying anything groundbreaking because let's look at the problem here for the San Francisco 49ers. They finished with 200 more yards offense. They finished with 13 more first downs, 10 minutes of time of possession. But you want to know why they lose this game, Alex? Because they go 0-4 in turnovers in this game, and then they lose to the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys.
Was it because Zeke Elliott wasn't playing, so he couldn't fumble the ball 10 times for the Cowboys?
Oh, Zeke, dude, I think he has like a couple hundred more carries than a lot of these other rookie running backs, but still more fumbles, or like a couple hundred less and more fumbles, something stupid. Zeke, I forget the stat, but Zeke has a lot of fumbles this year, and he's been doing a little poor. The Cowboys still.
I mean, do you worry? Just sorry to cut you off there, but do you worry a little bit if you're a Cowboys owner, Cowboys fan, that you see? I think they kind of knew for a while that Tony Pollard was a really good running back, and it was almost just like, we're paying Zeke this money, we have to give him the carries. But then you have a game like this where Zeke doesn't play and Tony Pollard looks really, really good. Do you have that kind of doubt crept in your mind of?
Or are you talking about a Carson Wentz type situation where you have a bad contract and his backup is way cheaper and way better?
Exactly. I mean, but what do you do though? Because I think wasn't it a 5-year deal? 5 years, $90 million.
Yeah. I
mean, I don't know. That's just they're in a tough spot right now. And I think they have to ride Zeke. They have to.
Well, it's because and the only problem here, if you want to keep Dak Prescott, he made his case very clear before he got hurt that he was probably going to be making $40 million a year with his contract. If we're looking at it, he's probably going to be doing that. So Cowboys fans, welcome to cap hell because you're about to be in it. I mean, like I was saying, the Cowboys still technically have a chance to win the division, make playoffs. Would be the worst thing to do in this situation. Congrats, San Francisco 49ers. You do the right thing, and you lose this game. Good for you. And I mean, even for you Niner fans, I know it sucks to lose games. Like Broncos fans, it sucks to lose games. But we all know ultimately it's going to be better, especially when you have nothing to play for this season. But speaking of teams that do have something to play for, let's go to the next game with the Lions at the Titans, with the Titans just running away with this one, 46-25. We had Ryan Tannehill going for 5 total touchdowns. Derrick Henry with another 150-yard game in route of the Lions. Matt Stafford, though, I mean, although he didn't do too much, he still had a good game considering that he wasn't even supposed to play this week. I mean, let's talk about this miraculous return. We were talking last week. Hey, is this the last time we see Matt Stafford in a Lions jersey? No, I guess not. I mean, we were proved wrong less than a week after we asked the question, and so I had to change like the little YouTube segment of this. Is this the last season we see Matt Stafford in the Lions jersey?
There
I
you go.
mean,
Just a quick little noun change.
exactly. It put a little asterisk on the video. That's all that matters. But Stafford 250 and touchdown. The thing is, though, my biggest thing here, fear, if I'm a Titans fan, if I'm the Titans itself, our defense is going to be a problem going to playoffs because although our offense is great, second overall offense in the league scoring wise, though, our defense is 27th. That's not a
Yeah,
recipe for playoff wins.
yeah. I mean, I kind of feel you in that, but I think what's going to be the saving grace for this Titans team is when you get into the playoff situation, games start to shorten. You start to have a lot more, reliance on the ground game. Derrick Henry's going to be running the ball a ton. I just don't think they're going to be put in a ton of positions to get exposed like they have been in the regular season. Because I mean, team like the Lions, they're garbage time kings. This
Yeah.
is it's a lot easier to. I mean, when this game was, I think it was what 31-10 or something like that, and games wrapped up at that point. You don't really care how much you're giving or how many points you're giving up at that point. You're just trying to run the clock out. I don't think Derrick Henry had many carries in the fourth quarter. This game was wrapped up at a early in this day, so it's a problem, yeah. But I just think that the offense is going to cover up some of those holes because they're just going to shorten the game and limit all the opportunities for them to get exposed like they have been. But another great showing for this Titans offense. Can't really draw many conclusions from it because this Lions defense is so atrocious. And but Ryan Tannehill showing that ground game, and I absolutely love their goal line package where Ryan Tannehill runs this zone read and
Mm-hmm.
does that little finger roll into the end zone. He's done it like 3 or 4 times
That's
already
his
this
thing
year,
now. That is
and
100%
that's
his
his
thing.
thing. And it's so impossible to stop because everyone's keyed in on Derrick Henry because
You have
Derrick
to.
Henry trying to get 1 yard. That's the easiest thing you can do. And it's like, okay, well, this DN's
Mm-hmm.
crashing down. Why don't I just waltz into the end zone, do this finger roll, and piss everyone off? That's kind of what Ryan Tannehill's MO is right now.
See,
So
what that play reminds me of is, I mean, throw it back to, I think it was 2013-14 when we had that one shootout between the Broncos and the Cowboys. Then we had Peyton Manning running a little QB, taking QB option to the corner of the end zone when everyone bit on the dive because ain't no way in hell that Peyton Manning's ran the football. But in this
I
case,
remember that. That was
yeah,
awesome.
that was a fun one. But in this case, though, we have a quarterback that actually isn't an old man, and he could actually. Ryan Tannehill, I think his athleticism is a little underrated. He's a fairly mobile quarterback. He's not the
He
smallest
did
guy
a
in the world
20-yard
either.
touchdown run this game.
Yeah, he's good. I mean,
He's really good.
a dual threat guy like that is going to be really good, especially in the playoffs. I mean, like you were saying, you have to play Derrick Henry. You can't afford not to. And then if you can have Ryan Tannehill just sneak it in himself, that's just unstoppable in some points, in some aspects with that. But going from the Titans to stay within the AFC South, let's go to the Texans at the Colts in a game that the Texans kind of gave away at the end, losing this one 27-20 because we had the Colts, a very important win because they keep pace with the Titans at 10-4, still second in the division due to wins and losses with each other. But it's so important just in case one of those teams slips up. The Texans lose another game off a late fumble. This time it's that Colts defense. We say it again. Colts defense comes up clutch. They recover a fumble in the end zone with 19 seconds left to go. That's really what gives them the win. And the unfortunate thing here, Alex, like I'm trying to be positive for some of the losing teams, for a lot of the losing teams as we go through this. But for the Texans, you can't even be positive about this because a loss here doesn't even improve your first round draft position because your pick belong to the Dolphins. Shout out Bill O'Brien.
Jeez, so tough. Such a tough position to be in right now. I mean, this Texans team, and when Bill O'Brien left, he made sure to leave the cupboard completely empty for this team. I mean, they have freaking Chad Hansen as their #1 receiver right now. David Johnson running on prosthetic legs, trying to make plays out there. It's not looking good. Deshaun Watson's going to be the saving grace of this team. He's so freaking good, but they just don't have much to work with. I don't want to spend too much time on this game because the Colts defense is good. Darius Leonard again making a game-breaking play, knocking that ball out of QT's hands at the end, and this is back-to-back games for the Colts and Texans where a late fumble by the Texans causes them to lose this game. So, Colts and Titans seem to be still duking it out for that AFC South title, and It's going to come down to the last 2 weeks, which is all you can ask for as a football fan.
That's fun. The AFC South, for a lot of the crap it has, I mean, rightfully so, is never really been the premier division. But at least with the top two teams right here, the Texans might get good, and we'll get to the Jags now having the number 1 spot, so they might be good soon. This division could make a quick turnaround, and it could be like the AFC West, because remember, like, the start of this decade, they were just god-awful of a division, all 4 of those teams. And now look, you have the best team in football in that division. It's really not that bad. Yeah, Super Bowl winners coming from that division. Who knows, AFC South could make a turnaround like that. And
they're going to have Trevor Lawrence coming into the game, too.
Hey, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say, man. We'll get to that in a moment, though. Because, I mean, speaking about the Dolphins, the team that has the Texans' first-round pick, let's talk about them. Patriots at the Dolphins. Dolphins coming away with this one, 22-12. And, Alex, tell me if you heard this one before. Late game in the season, in Miami, Patriots lose.
I think you called this one early, but
I did.
I think the roles have reversed a little bit here, where
right?
This isn't one of those surprising losses. But for some reason, the Patriots ended this game as the betting favorite, which baffled me, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's just
Patriots it's a tradition at this point, man.
Right now, right. Patriots are not a good football team right now. Their offense is atrocious. Cam Newton is throwing ground balls. He's literally just throwing the ball straight into the ground for some of these guys. I mean, he's throwing a 15-yard dig across the middle and hitting it at 8 yards in the ground, kicking up all these freaking pellets.
Hey, he's just trying to stop the interceptions, man.
Concerning what he's doing.
Just trying to.
I get you, but like, you know, he's doing this thing where when he's bending down in the huddle and going down, he looks like he's frail. Looks like he's hurt. It looks like his whole body's just, I don't know. He's over the hill.
He doesn't look.
I don't think he gets another start job. I don't even think of job. I mean, he'll probably get a backup job because of his name, but I just don't know if I would trust this guy to run an offense at any point in the season, and especially another year removed from, taking the beating, taking the pounding on that body already, kind of worn down. I think we might be nearing the end for old Cam Newton here.
Just another reason to the argument of why that play with him not going for the fumble in Super Bowl 50 was the beginning of the end. That was the peak right there. That was the peak. And ever since that play, it's all been downhill, courtesy of the Denver Broncos. And then the problem with this,
revert back to the Broncos.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to be positive, Biz. I'm like a Cowboys fan, man. The only positive time for the Broncos is way in the past. At least the Broncos' past is not as far ago. It's not the 90s for the Cowboys. At least we got that going for us. Now the Patriots, they're out of the playoffs for the first time in an NFL record 12 years. So it's the end of an era. And you want to know why they're not making the playoffs this year, Alex? Besides the bad core. I mean, that's part of it. Besides the awful receiving core, they have a good defense. It's probably just because they don't have Tom Brady. I really believe we could chalk it up to that.
I mean, they had a ton of opt-outs on the defensive side, too. And I don't know if Tom Brady would be fixing this offense because you kind of saw
he might not be fixing
the writing on the wall last year. Their defense was so good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's not.
I think the cool thing about this,
also kind of just worried about this Patriots.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about this, is, I mean, once the season's over, once we're all said and done with the Super Bowl and all that, we'll be able to go back to our NFL preview show about this and see all the things we got right, all the things we got wrong. Early preview, I said the Patriots weren't making the playoffs, and here we are. One of the 3 things I think I got right this season, so I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. Next game.
I'll need that sometimes.
Right. Thank you. I'll take what I can get a lot of the time. Now we move to the NFC North, a nice divisional matchup between the Bears and the Vikings. The Bears taking this one 33-27. And the Bears, I think this is worst case scenario for them because they have another win that just makes them look better than they actually are. It gives them worse draft position. Mr. Trubisky didn't have a great game, but this still gives ammo to the people that are pro-Trubisky. And the only problem here is that technically the Bears are still in the playoff hunt. I mean, they're only a game back. But the thing is, if they make the playoffs, they're almost guaranteed to lose in the first round. And that's only going to make you a bottom 14 draft pick at the best, So it's just no point. I mean, the Vikings technically still a couple games back. They can still get this, but both these teams, they're all but done. And if the Bears aren't done, they should be.
Yeah, this is kind of what we thought was coming. I don't know if we talked about it last week or not, maybe
We
some
allude to
before,
it
but
for sure.
yeah, this is what Trubisky does, and this is what this Bears team has done in the past couple of years. They kind of turn it on a little bit at the end of the year. They go to 8-8, 9-7, and barely miss the playoffs. They try to build this momentum. Trubisky, starts to play better down the stretch. They string a couple wins together. They make you think that they're gonna be this new great offense. And Trubisky took this step, but it's just same story, different year for this Bears team. Vikings put together a valiant effort after a 1-5 start. I can't remember, but they put together a decent year. Dalvin Cook, I think, is the first or second best back in the league right now. I think he's a more complete back than Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry's definitely got the rushing pedigree on him right now. So, the Vikings have a lot to move forward. I don't know if Kirk Cousins is going to be the guy to lead that offense to the promised land.
At least Kirk Cousins, he might not be
receiving core.
Kirk Cousins, he's in a weird kind of limbo situation because he might not be the guy, but he's also not the reason that yeah. I don't know if he's the guy, but also at the same time, he's not the reason they lose these games. At least not this season. At least not this season. It's mostly that defense that was so good on paper, and now it's just complete disaster, much like the Cowboys over there. But let's stay in the NFC. We got the Seahawks at the Washington football team. Seahawks coming away barely with a 20-15 win. But the problem here is that the offense just continues to look lethargic. I think is the best way to put it. Just a few hundred yards of total offense. Russell Wilson, not even 150 yards passing. He had a touchdown to an interception. He's still not really pushing the ball down the field, albeit that is a underrated Washington defense with a solid front seven. But at the same time, it's just you're the Seahawks, man. You got DK, you got Tyler Lockett, you got Chris Carson, you got one of the premier quarterbacks in Russell Wilson. You should be able to drive down this team. You should be able to put up more than 300 yards pass offense. You should be able to put up more than 20 points on this team, and you clinch a playoff spot if you're Seattle. Washington maintains a one-game lead in the division, but with the Seahawks, it's kind of like the NFC we're talking about, Alex. Just it's kind of meh. The NFC is kind of meh.
Yeah. That's this whole conference right now, and I'll tell you one thing is the one reason that the Seahawks offense didn't do well was not because of Chase Young. He had one solo tackle. He had one solo tackle this week. No tackles for loss. No sacks. I think I got a little backlash from my. I think I got a little backlash last week for my call, but
you should see that the segment, the YouTube video, has not. It's in the. I think it has like 6 dislikes, 7 dislikes, a number of comments. People don't really like the truth.
We got ratio a little bit there, but again, like you said, people hate the truth. People hate seeing the fact put on the wall, and I still have not seen one good argument for why Chase Young.
No, that's the funny thing. We're talking about this. I've seen the comments or people just calling you stupid and stuff like that. Well, actually, we have one comment that's in support of us. We have one comment that says he's super overrated. Which shout out to you, man. You're seeing the truth. But we've had every other comment has been saying that it's stupid that we're stupid. But I haven't seen an argument against it, though.
Yeah, everyone hates with the truth slapped in their face. But hey, that's life these days. And this, like you said, the Seahawks offense looks they just look like they've been spinning their wheels recently these past couple of weeks. I'll give you the football team's defense is good, but they're not good enough to hold Russell Wilson to 121 pass yards. 121 couldn't even break 125. That's so bad in an NFL style game this year. It's granted they won the game and that's all you care about, but still, man, that's just so tough to do, especially with these receivers out there. And we got to see. And also, I don't know if this next week's going to be a get right game for them, because the last time you played this Rams defense, Jalen Ramsey shut down DK Metcalf, and you're going to see a lot out of DK Metcalf this week. Is he the guy that is going to say, he shut me down last time, I'm going to go watch the tape, I'm going to come back hungry, and I'm going to get this, back on track? Or is Jalen Ramsey just have real estate in DK's head and not going to be able to let him loose again? So I'm very interested to see this next week and and see who's going to come out on top in that NFC West.
That's going to be it. I mean, that division's still the toss-up at this point. That's one of the better divisions. It's still one of the more exciting ones. So we'll also get to the Rams in a second because unfortunate for them, they were not able to keep pace this week. We'll get to the game in a moment. But first, we had the Jags at the Ravens. Ravens winning 40-14. And what's nice is that the Lamar Jackson, the Ravens offense, stay hot. And you want to know the best cure for a bad and struggling offense, Alex? A god-awful defense. Yeah, or just the Jags in general. I mean, the best cure to bad offense is a even worse defense, and that's exactly what the Ravens had here. They were able to follow up a great offensive game against the Browns, where they kind of ruled in the running game. This year, also able to get some practice reps on their passing game. Lamar Jackson, about 250, 3 touchdowns, an interception. On the other side, we had Gardner Minshew doing his best to ruin the tank, but he can only put up 14 points for the Jags, unfortunately. I mean, Mike Glennon's still the tanking goat. But, I mean, Gardner Minshew, he got a spot back. I think the Jags put Minshew in this game because, they were thinking, yeah, he's good, but not even he can ruin the tank here. And also, this is before they knew about the Jets, too. But the problem here is that the Ravens, like we mentioned, we were talking last week, the play scenario between most likely Ravens and Dolphins is the 7th seed is probably going to be between those two. The Ravens still need to win out, and they still have to hope for a Dolphins loss. So they did their part here. The Dolphins did their part given the playoffs. Well, these next 2 weeks of the NFL season, you're going to hold on. You're going to have to hold on to your seats because there's a lot that can happen between these next 2 ones.
Yeah, I absolutely love the 17 playoff on both sides. I think the NFL did an awesome job there.
It's kind of growing on me, man. It's stupid.
No, I'm a huge fan of it because it does a couple things. It gives a couple more teams the shot at making the playoffs, and it also makes those teams at the top not be able to rest their guys at the end of the year because there's only one bye spot, like everyone said this year. But so it makes everyone play their whole regular season and not take the last couple of weeks off and not put it on autopilot. And I think it's good for the whole NFL. I think it's good for the viewership, good for the fans, good for everyone. So don't need to spend too much time on this game. This is what the Ravens do. They beat up on bad teams, get on the pole position to get a game-changing player in Trevor Lawrence. So that's something you can, write home about and say, this is what we have to look forward to next year. And, start printing those jerseys with Lawrence on the back and that nice Jacksonville, what do you call those? Like seafoam green? Call it that? I don't know.
It's aqua. A green blue
they
thing.
wear a lot of black too. So.
Hey, the black. Let's go with the black. The black looks better. Okay. My heart goes out to all those Jets fans that have already bought the Trevor Lawrence Jets jerseys because might be a rough investment at this point because we had the Jets. They go to SoFi Stadium. They win 23-20, and you have a team that's so bad that they can't even lose right. Damn it, Jets. What the hell are you doing? I never thought I'd be this mad, or especially as a fan, I'd be furious. I never thought I'd be this mad at a team for winning. Because it's so weird, but yeah, the Jets, they probably ruined the tank, and the Rams might have lost a lot of confidence in that team. They're still contenders because, as we mentioned, Alex, the NFC, not that good, but the Jags now hold the number 1 pick. I believe the Jets only have about a 30% chance of getting it back, I believe. So, Justin Fields still on the books?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is that Justin Fields, I don't think is as big of a drop off as some people think. This, he's a good player too, and obviously you want Trevor Lawrence if you're in the Jets situation, but they're not going to be so far out of line with this with Justin Fields. So that's something they can rest their head on. But this was a weird game because the Jets, I don't believe, ever trailed in this game. Rams couldn't get a pass rush. Their defensive. Or the Jets defensive line was getting penetration every single play almost, and they kind of just embarrassed the Rams. They out-physicaled them, even when Quinnen Williams looked like a monster this game.
Dude.
Really, really, really good showing for Quinnen Williams.
Is he the only good player they have on that team?
Yeah, I mean, he's basically taken the same trajectory as Leonard Williams, funny enough. Same last name, same position, same draft spot, I believe. I don't know. I don't know if Leonard Williams is a third pick or not, but Kind of got the same MO there. So hopefully they don't ruin his career like they did Leonard Williams with the Jets.
Hmm.
But yeah, let's hope that this is a Rams game where they just kind of didn't really take the Jets seriously, and they're not going to be able to rest on this one because they got the Seahawks coming up, and what probably is going to shake out to be the winner of the NFC West is going to come from this game. So they don't have the ability to burn this tape. They have to, go check it out, go see what's going on, and make sure that they're ready for the Seahawks game because that is a big time game coming up.
Exactly. And I think still one of my favorite stats this year now, Alex, is Sam Darnold. After this game, he had about 200 yards passing with this one. He's at about 1,767 yards passing. But on the other hand, we talked about him a little earlier in terms of contract. Dak Prescott still has more passing yards this year than Sam Darnold, as Dak Prescott has 1,856.
Jeez, that is a wild stat.
If that tells you all you need to know about Sam Darnold is that he can't even be the guy that's been out for like what feels like forever now with a knee injury. Although Sam Darnold has missed a handful of games, but I mean, dude, you should be over 2,000 yards passing. You're the starting quarterback at this point.
It's the same guy that went 7-6 last year as a starter, which is just weird because they didn't change their team that much from last year. And
it was Jamal Adams that important of a piece to the Jets offense? We'll have to ask that question later. No. The next game we had the Eagles at the Cardinals. Another NFC West team right here. They get the win 33-26 in a very, very highly entertaining quarterback battle between a couple ex-Oklahoma guys, too. We had Murray kind of getting back on track, at least in his passing game, 400 yards, a few touchdowns, a blemish with the interception. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, about 340 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, then another 60 yards rushing. It's the Cardinals hanging on to win this one, avoiding the late Hail Mary attempt. They keep on to that 7th seed, and I really do believe the Eagles have found their quarterback of the future.
Yeah, and this is, those situations we talk about all the time. You bring the backup in, the whole team starts to play better. They start to kind of rally around that guy. And Jalen Hurts, he's definitely got his holes in the passing game. He misses a lot of easy throws, misses a lot of open guys. But he is a strong guy in the run game. You saw that goal line play. Oh, my gosh. He took on a massive hit from the safety. Right. Still got into the end zone. I think he squatted like 400, 500 pounds or something like that when he's back up.
Something heavy. Something very heavy.
Some ridiculous number. So
he's not even like a big guy, dude, but he's strong.
He's just like compact. He's very, very
That's an
strong.
Alabama player right there, man. Well. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, he's basically a running back that's got a decent gun on him too.
No Lamar Jackson.
No, not like that. But I think the biggest thing for this game that I saw was Kyler Murray. Although he did not have the rushing yardage that you would have liked to see, he had that rushing threat still, kind of lingering out there. He had that nice rushing touchdown where he juked the shoot out of the defender there. And, it's good to see him get back on the right track, throw for 400, 3 touchdowns, out-dueled his fellow Oklahoma Sooner. So something good that came out of that by the Cardinals. I still don't think this is a team that can contend in the playoffs just because of how that defense plays. That defense is young. Kyler's young. Still gets flustered out there. He threw a pick. QBR of 45.2 is not going to get the job done, even with that crazy stat line. He still missed a lot of throws. So I think this was a really good building year for the Cardinals. People thought they were the dark horse this year, but I don't think they're quite there yet. That defense needs a little more seasoning. They need some more Buda Bakers on that team. So
they're on path though. I mean, a little more Chandler Jones. I mean, but definitely. They got some good stuff going there. What I don't like about what I've seen from Carson Wentz, though, is at least if we not the best of quarterbacks, but Mitch Trubisky, for all of his faults, at least one thing I respect from him is he still goes out there every week and like he fought to get his spot back from Nick Foles, and he's making the most of what his situation is. He's trying to build that team around him. He's trying to regain their confidence, regain their trust. But I mean, what has Carson Wentz been doing, man? Carson Wentz, his
I think that's a
checked
very
out.
different situation, though. I think it's a really different situation just because when you're with the Bears, Foles is on a 1-year deal. He's not a young guy. He's the veteran that they came in to, right the ship a little bit. But with the Eagles situation, it's a brand new guy. It's a rookie, and it's a guy that's just now won this locker room over. So I think that's just a much different situation where you got this shiny new toy for Doug Peterson. He comes in, he starts to play really well. Gets a big win against the Saints team, plays really well in this shootout with the Cardinals. And so what can you do if you're Carson Wentz? He didn't play well all year. His offensive line wasn't blocking for him. Receivers weren't catching it for him. Defense was playing bad. Yet this new guy coming in with this whole new injection of energy, injection of pace, playing well now. All that you can do is try to be a good teammate because for the rest of the year, he's not getting his job back. So
See, you say be a good teammate. Sorry, I'm not even really seeing that. At least with like Dwayne Haskins,
what is he supposed to do? What do you expect him to do?
It sounds so like benign and like kind of just detailed and me really being nitpicky. But it's just like when you see him like on the sideline, like with like around the quarterbacks, and I just don't like the body language. I don't want to sound like that old grump that like NFL sort of like NFL analysts. We all know those people, but I just don't want to be that guy. But I just like to see a little. I don't know. Something irks me.
I know that irks you, but it's just like I was a quarterback in high school, and I don't want to be this guy that's trying to like build off of my own things, but when you're in that situation and you get, someone else starts over you, you bring another quarterback in, you start to feel like, wow, my teammates, the guys that, I'm building that bond with, I'm leading that team. They're now like almost like cheating on you a little bit. They're going to this new quarterback. He's now in your position. Everyone's looking at him to lead. And it's just so freaking hard. And I don't care who you ask, and especially at the quarterback position, the last thing you want to see out there is that quarterback play well. You can ask anyone. Doesn't matter how good of a teammate you can be. You can fake it till you make it. But the best thing and the best feeling you have as a quarterback that just got passed over is to see that guy go out and fail. And it's so cynical to say, and it's so cynical to think, but that's just the truth. And it almost would shock me if someone didn't have that outlook, because what kind of a competitor is that guy that they don't want to, go back to being the guy. They don't want to go back to that situation and get that starting shot again. So I really don't mind this out of Carson Wentz, because what is he supposed to do in that situation? He's been the guy. He was an MVP freaking candidate 3 years ago, led his team to the Super Bowl. And now you have this new
was it him that led his team to the Super Bowl?
Well, he put to the Super Bowl.
He put his team in the position.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And
then Nick Foles took over that playoff. I think we can chalk
up situation to BM. I can't expect anything more out of Carson Wentz.
We all know it's a weird situation quarterback wise that they have there going on in Philadelphia. It's a mess that I'm glad I'm not a part of. The next game though, we had a way better game than what I was expecting. The Chiefs at the Saints, man, 32-29 for the Chiefs.
Was this a good game?
I had my expectations low for this.
Was it deceiving?
I was expecting a blowout, or like I guess a bigger victory from the Chiefs. I was impressed by the Saints' ability to stay in this one as long as they did. We had the Chiefs pretty much securing the number 1 seed. The Saints still haven't secured that division yet. It's Breeze that was shaky in his return. He started 0-5 for the first time in his career on passing attempts. He did finish with a decent game. I mean, 230 yards, a few touchdowns. Yeah, that bad interception. Mahomes, on the other hand, though, another 3-touchdown game. No surprise there. I think that's pretty much just standard. That's what we expect from him at this point. Although I feel like poor guy, when we only see 250 passing yards on the stat sheet, we think that's a bad game for him. It's like, hey man, he should be having 300 plus a game. That's the expectations you put out for yourself. Once again, we're calling it the LeBron James syndrome. Syndrome, is that the right word for it?
I think that's the right word.
I think that's what we're going with. To be fair, Mahomes did have a couple balls that should have been picked, or they were called back due to penalties. He still looked weird in times, at least like going back to that Dolphins game where the Dolphins almost had his number, or at least had his number way more than other teams have really shown before. But at the same time, it's still the Chiefs, still high scoring offense, and they ultimately get it done in the Superdome.
Isn't it crazy how this every single time this Chiefs team plays, you still have that thought in the back of your head that they're still on autopilot and they're still holding something back? It's just the craziest thing, because they've lost.
Scary. It's a scary thought.
for some reason the Raiders have their number, and I don't know what their formula was. They grinded the clock out a little bit, and
Derek Carr has to have the best
played,
game of his career.
Yeah, the defense didn't allow the big plays, so I guess that was the formula that Gruden drew up. But yeah, just this Chiefs offense, I don't know, something about them. It's just they still feel like they can snap at any moment, and that's just so scary if you're the rest of the AFC. But are we taking for granted that maybe this team isn't that way? Maybe it's just they're running into a turbulence on the outside, and even though they're winning these games handily, and I don't think this final score was as close as you may think. The Saints get the late touchdown to make it a little closer, but the Chiefs were in control of this game the entire time, save for that second half start where the Saints went down and got a touchdown to go up by a point. But Chiefs had this game in the bag the whole time. They never thought they were going to lose. But I want to see the Chiefs one time on a good team just put it on them every single time. Treat it like a playoff game. Go down there, run your packages, run Tyreek deep, run Travis Kelce deep, run DeMarcus Robinson deep. I mean, their weapons are incredible. I mean, you had Mecole Hardman making one of the most ridiculous catches, going full speed, tight roping the back of the end zone, catching the ball as his shoestrings. You thought Patrick Mahomes was throwing the ball away. It's just an incredible play by this guy. And I don't know. I just want to see them put it on a good team.
And the problem with that, though, Alex,
and they blew it,
is if we don't see that happening, we might just have to ask the question if the Chiefs are just not as good as we think they are. Although
that's what I'm
saying. Are they
you
who
start
we
to
think
worry
they
about
are?
that? Is this what's going on?
These playoffs
I mean, they are.
Yeah, probably. We're
but
looking into this way too much, admittedly. But if this happens, if they keep this up, and they probably won't. I mean, let's caveat that. But if they do, if they do struggle a little bit in the playoffs, everyone is going to be talking about that. And it's going to be the end.
Get on them.
Oh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough for them. We capped off Sunday Night Football with the Browns at the Giants. Browns just winning this one 26. It's pretty much a nothing game. It was a bad Sunday Night Football game. It was just what it is.
Do you mind if I take a nap for this segment?
Man, that's a really quick nap. So I'd be impressed if you're able to fall asleep that quick, especially with because you're not watching the game too. So I don't know how you're going to fall asleep like that. Baker, at least good for you, man. You beat up a bad defense for 300 yards, a couple touchdowns. At least he stays on it. I mean, that's fine. What I do like, though, what I do want to give him credit for, is leading 2 95-yard touchdown drives. No matter what team you're going against, no matter how bad the defense is, that is not an easy task, and that deserves respect. But at the same time, it's just it's more of like hey, guys, good for you. With the Browns, I mean, they're now a game away from ending a 17-year playoff drought, the longest in the NFL. So Browns fans, good for you guys. Joe Judge and Giants, Colt McCoy is probably not the guy there. I mean, neither is Daniel Jones, but that's besides the point. Well,
yeah, I mean, the story of this game was really bad red zone offense for the Giants. I mean, to go into the red zone 3 straight drives and get 3 points out of it, with maybe one of the worst fake field goal attempts I've ever seen. But this Browns team, they did what they had to do. I think the most impressive part of this whole game was Baker was 27 for 32, 297, 2 touchdowns. Looked really good. He's kind of clicking on all cylinders right now, and you start to think, is it that no number one wide receiver complex where Odell's not in the mix, so he's able to spread the ball around, actually read the defense, and run off
something that I'd like to see from him. Odell should be traded.
He's playing really well, and he's fitting the ball in some tight windows. He's not making those big mistakes that you saw earlier in the year and last year. He's limiting the turnovers. That run game is incredible. They even lost White Teller this game earlier in the game, and they still were able to pound the rock. And just this Browns team is got the bones of a really good team, and it's just there's a lot of those AFC teams right now: the Colts, the Titans, the Browns, the Ravens, that just all have very similar formulas, and they're all going to be extremely tough outs in the playoffs for those big teams up in the top of the division.
I love the parity we're going to be seeing, at least in the bottom 4 teams of that AFC, maybe the 5, 6 of them. The parity in that is going to be phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to the playoffs, man. And for how much I want the season to keep going, I really want the playoffs to get here. And we're going from one AFC North team to another two. We had the Steelers at the Bengals on Monday Night Football. And would you believe it, Alex, if I told you that the Steelers looked awful and lost a third straight game in a bad loss to the Bengals because they had another very poor offensive outing, only less than 250 yards total offense. Big Ben, 170 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I think Alex Smith still might be getting that Comeback Player of the Year award. And the crazy thing to me, I think the biggest thing that stood out is we have Giovanni Bernard against a solid front seven. When you think of Gio Bernard, what do you think of? Do you think of a guy that catches little swing passes out of the backfield, makes people miss in space, and sometimes he occasionally comes in for like a third down rush or whatever if you need a quarterback, if you need like a draw play, get some yards. But here, he was pounding the rock consistently. He was looking like an actual running back, and not really a power back, but closer to what you get of Joe Mixon, which is really impressive stuff to see. And now the Steelers, you're at risk of losing the division itself.
Yeah, I mean that would be quite the flip of the script here this year if the Steelers lost this division. But the Bengals they didn't, their offense looked poor. They weren't great, but
It's not like Ryan Finley set the world on fire.
No, they were gifted a really good starting field position the first 3 scores.
Well, how'd you feel about that fumble real quick? That fumble by Juju, was it the right call?
Yes, 100%.
Thank you.
3 steps.
He
made 3 steps, got drilled, got absolutely drilled. And I mean, I'm about done with Juju making these TikToks on the opponent's home logo at the start of every game. I mean, you got to start to think maybe after 3 straight weeks of losing and doing the same dance at the same spot in the opponent's stadium, maybe we should stop doing that.
Mike Tomlin said he was going to possibly have a conversation with him, so you might get your wish.
Yeah, I mean, he's not playing well either. This whole offense is playing poorly. The one good thing that they had out of this was they didn't really need to win this game. They still have 2 weeks. They still are going to be in the playoffs. They have 11 wins already, so get James Conner healthy. Maybe you have a shot in the playoffs. He had Deontay Johnson rebound a little bit from his episode of the drops. But again, the Steelers offense not looking good, defense looking good still. So that's what you can at least rest your hat on. But I don't know. I'm just worried about this team a lot.
Well, let's keep worrying about them, and let's talk about that more because we're going to talk about who is going to actually end up with that crown in the AFC North. And Alex, let's roll the segue.
We want the ball, we're going to score.
Tell them to bring me my money. Yeah!
Dollar bills, y'all.
So we buying or are we selling? All right, Alex, and like I said, let's just ask this question of who's going to be the winner of the AFC North. And so, of course, this is our buy or sell segment. For those that don't know how it works, we give you 5 statements, and it is up to you of whether to buy it or sell it. And the first one I want to give you guys is that the Browns are going to win the AFC North this year. And now that each team has 2 games left, the Browns are 1 game back as of now. They play the Jets and the Steelers next. And the Steelers have the Colts and the Browns next. Of course, that pivotal Browns-Steelers game is going to be Week 17. But Alex, buying or selling?
I am going to – what am I going to do? I'm going to sell the statement just on the odds, just because I think the Steelers have a better chance. But I think the Browns are not a significantly better team, but they're a better team right now. I think they're going to win that Week 17 matchup. But so wait, if they both win, what the Browns play the Jets next. So if they go undefeated, if they tie at the end of the year, but the Browns win that Week 17 match, who gets the division?
The Browns get the division, I believe. So
the Browns are going to win the division then. 100%.
I think the Browns are winning the division.
Buy this statement.
Thank you for changing your mind, Alex, because I said this on Twitter once again at Fourth Long Radio, where I said after the game that what's going to happen here is that not only we're not going to have to worry about a tie and all the BS that goes with it, Alex, because the Colts are going to drop 5 straight games to end the season. They're going to be one of the, I think, the only team ever to go 11-0, then lose the next 5, because they're going to lose to the Colts. The Colts are outright a better team than the Steelers this season and right now especially. And the Browns are going to win that game too. And the Browns, of course, like they said, they're going to beat the Steelers. And if they don't beat the Jets, I'm going to be extremely, extremely disappointed because there's no way in hell lightning strikes twice and that lightning being a Jets victory. So, Alex, I am 100% all in on this statement. The biggest frauds, the worst 11-0 team of all time, is going to end the year on the 5-game losing streak, go limping into the playoffs, face a first-round elimination, and that is going to be courtesy of the Browns winning the division.
The Steelers suck. They're horrible.
Not good. And shout out to all those people that are calling the Steelers frauds when they were 11-0 and still undefeated. Hats off to you because you got it right on the money. But keeping with the Browns, though, Alex, is going to this next statement that Kevin Stefanski is a lock for Coach of the Year, head coach of the Browns.
I'll buy this statement all day long. He's been so freaking good for this team. I mean, the way that they've changed the offense around to suit the actual talent that they have, and getting Freddie Kitchens out of there, getting his play calling out of there was the best thing they could have done in the offseason.
And the funny thing was, in that Giants-Browns game, you want to know who was calling the plays for the Giants?
Freddie Kitchens. Jason Garrett had COVID. 100%. It was awesome.
And we saw how well that turned out for them. Woo. Remember when people said Freddie Kitchens was the guy for the Browns, and I was not buying that whatsoever. Especially because we had players saying that Freddie Kitchens was one of the problems of that coaching staff too.
Yeah, I mean, he's been really good. I think again, back to his offensive philosophy, it suits this Browns team so much better than what Kitchens was doing for him last year. And, having that ground game, having that dual-headed, running game, and playing a lot more 12 personnel and getting 2 tight ends in there, moving the line of scrimmage incredibly well, getting a lot of play flow going, get Baker on the move, get him in play action. He's not a good quarterback unless he's playing in play action. He's got a good ground game. So I love what they're doing. Yes, Stefanski is going to be the lock for the coach of the year because I think Tomlin's out. I think the only other competition he really has is maybe Brian Flores. But I see Stefanski winning this, and I see it going away.
Yeah. Right now, like you said, it's between Flores and Stefanski. And the problem here is that Flores might not even be making the playoffs.
That's the big thing.
Especially because we talked about this last week, but the Ravens essentially have to win out, and the Dolphins essentially have to lose one of their games, which is likely. Looking into this, that was the most likely scenario. So the Dolphins are risking not making the playoffs, not because they don't deserve to, but just because that's the way the 7th seed is going down this year. And he has a phenomenal team. He could very well win next year, but it depends. If the Browns are able to win this division, like I 100% believe they are, if they're able to make a playoff run, which what I 100% believe they're going to be able to do, then he's a lock, and it's close. And like you said, Mike Tomlin should not be. I mean, it sucks because I think Mike Tomlin might be one of the most underrated coaches of all time, especially what he did with that Steelers team last year. But he's really just making it hard to make the argument now. Are
we overlooking Andy Reid for this? Or Sean McDermott?
Technically, we're overlooking Andy Reid, but at the same time, we kind of expect the Chiefs to be here.
But how about McDermott? What if McDermott brings that team to 13-3? Wins the division, gets the 2 seed.
I think Stefanski still wins this because you got to look at.
I think so too.
What do we expect the least from? I would say I expected more from the Bills than I did the Browns, which is why I believe the coach of the year goes to the head coach of the most surprising team of the season. And like 9 times out of 10, I'll argue that's the Browns with this. But to your point, it's so close, so close. And one thing we mentioned, Alex, that the Jags are now the sole holder of the number 1 spot in the NFL draft next year, and they still have a really good chance of keeping that. And with that being said, the Jacksonville Jaguars are a better landing spot for Trevor Lawrence than the Jets are.
I think this is kind of obvious, to be honest with you.
Right.
The Jets are a horrible spot for any quarterback, any draft
Gase,
spot. You don't want to go to
man.
the Jets. Someone wants to go to the Jets.
But if you're Trevor Lawrence in this situation, are you happy to be going to the Jags?
I think 100% because a couple things. A, you're going to get a guy who's grown up in the South, grown up in a hot environment. He gets to go to Florida instead of New York, New Jersey, whatever you want to call that Jets team up there. So he wins on that front, right away. He's got at least the bones of a decent team. James Robinson's a great back. He's got a good receiving core. Chenault, Cole, DJ
Chark,
great,
man.
Great receivers on the outside.
A decent defense behind you too, and not the worst offensive line.
Good draft capital as well. That's something the Jets. The Jets have okay draft capital as well, but the Jags are going to put some players around him. I think they have, and I think what's great about this too is being that the Jets are who they are, and being that the Jags are who they are. Whoever gets Trevor Lawrence is going to have the leg up in getting the best head coach, the best GM. Mm-hmm. So him going to the Jags, I think, just gives you that extra.
Also, the Jags just recently fired their GM too, so they're looking for a full rebuild too.
Exactly. So I think you're going to be able to pair Trevor Lawrence with the coach of his choosing. Sneaky Joe Brady team there. I would love that pairing. Maybe you bring Dabo up from the college ranks and pair him with Trevor Lawrence. That would be incredible.
Wouldn't be the worst thing.
No, I think the Jags are in a spot to contend in the next 2 or 3 years, and I don't see that surefire thinking if he goes to the Jets.
Well, also, you were talking about this really early this season, how the Cowboys might be sitting for Lincoln Riley as their head coach. Of course, that is less of a likelihood now. Jerry Jones did say that Mike McCarthy's going to make a return, so at this point,
so dumb, but whatever.
It's dumb, but I'm going to have to take his word for him. Lincoln Riley might be a really good spot with this Jags team, bringing in Trevor Lawrence. That I feel like that would not.
Trevor Lawrence will bring a lot of coaches that you didn't previously think were going to join the NFL ranks out of the.
Better than Doug, though. Better than Doug Marrone. I'm sure that's not really saying much.
Put some respect on Doug's name. He's a cool guy. I like him.
Okay, doesn't make him a good coach.
Syracuse, New York. You gotta love that guy.
No, I'm good. But like you said, buying this 100%. That offense is a good spot. If Gardner Minshew has success like this, and how could a generational talent like Trevor Lawrence not? With a not bad run game, not bad offensive line, a decent defense, a good receiving core. You got aging Tyler Eifert there at tight end, but not the worst guy you can have out there. But in the draft capital, this is 100% the better spot for Trevor Lawrence. And like you say, Alex, it's not close. The next one being, of course, we did get the Pro Bowl teams were announced a number of days ago, which is always fun. Of course, we're not even going to have a Pro Bowl this year. I think they're going to do Madden 21 stuff, or just
it's so dumb. Something to fill airtime.
It's dumber than what the game usually is. At least these guys, but it's still credit to these guys. A lot of the guys, Bradley Chubb gets his first one. He was very emotional about this, so it's something to be proud of. I don't want to take that away from them, of course, but with every time we get this, though, Alex, you always have to talk about the biggest snubs, and that's why. DeForest Buckner is the biggest Pro Bowl snub this season.
Yeah, I think that's I'll buy that one. I think the biggest reason for this is I feel like I'm buying everything today, but
let's see. Let me give you a little bit of the competition. Let's run some context for Pro Bowl snubs. We have Trey Hendrickson, the D end for New Orleans, Zach Cunningham, the backer for the Texans. Devin White, Ryan Tannehill, one of the bigger snubs. James Robinson, Quinnen Williams, Calvin Ridley, Shaquille Barrett.
Hold on, Calvin Ridley did make the Pro Bowl?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? That's the biggest snub by far.
Calvin Ridley then? So you're going to sell this off of that?
Holy crap. Calvin Ridley did not make the Pro Bowl. This man went off this year in a sinking ship with no Julio Jones on the outside to protect him. This man was an incredible player. That's a travesty. But I still think DeForest Buckner was a big snub as well, and I think the biggest contributing factor to this was he just missed a couple games. But in those games, it almost built his case more than the games he was playing, because when he was out, that defense got torn apart. That was the game where they gave up 1 million yards to Derrick Henry and 45 points or whatever he did to the Titans. So you almost saw how important and how valuable DeForest Buckner was when he wasn't playing. And when he was playing, 7.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, that's, really good numbers out of that guy. So I think all those guys you said, and especially Trey Hendrickson, not really a known name this year, but This man terrorized Patrick Mahomes this weekend.
Right?
He's
He's
got
flown
double-digit
under the
sacks.
radar.
Yeah, he's opposite of Cam Jordan, so he's not going to get the spotlight. But he's really, really freaking good this year, and I think he definitely deserved a Pro Bowl.
I want to throw a couple names out here because I'm going to sell the statement because I don't believe it's DeForest Buckner. But I want to throw it. DeForest Buckner is definitely in there for conversation. I want to throw a couple more names out, as in Denzel Ward. Let's throw in.
Hurt too much.
Ooh.
Missed too many games. He's out.
Garrett Bowles is probably a snub because at one time he was the top-rated tackle in the league, and now he's top 3 rated. It doesn't help that he's playing on the bad Broncos team, but I would consider that a snub. Robbie Anderson.
Homer.
Yeah, what's your point? Am I wrong?
Yes.
Oh, unbelievable. Don't want to hear it. Shaq Barrett, like I said, Calvin Ridley. I mean, Quinnen Williams, man. Especially with that monster game he had against the Rams.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, he could have been a great rookie addition to that AFC team. But right now, I'm really going to have to go with Shaq Barrett, a guy that I believe is still one of the more underrated guys in the league. Of course, his teammate Jason Pierre-Paul made the list because JPP actually had probably one of the best seasons he's had since he was with the Giants.
Kind of resurrected his career, low-key. Really
yeah,
impressive.
he really. I mean, 9.5 sacks on the season, few forced fumbles. So that's some great stuff. But with Barrett, I mean, 8 sacks, a couple forced fumbles, 52 tackles. He has 15 quarterback hits. You look at this stat-wise, I mean, it makes sense that JPP got the nod over him, but you have to look at the how he's 3rd in NFL in disruptions with 64, 2nd in the league in turnovers caused by quarterback pressures at 6. Man, I really just love Shaq Barrett, man. He's so underlooked, and I am shocked that he hasn't made like a Pro Bowl yet, because even when he was back with Denver in that Super Bowl winning team, he was a big piece of the pie, a big reason why that defense was so good. I'm surprised that he didn't get in this year.
Yeah, me too. It's got to be a guy that you'd love to see on this
Right.
this Broncos D-line right now, huh?
Yeah, but at the time it was the right decision. But let's move past that because I don't want to make myself sad. The last statement we're going to end here with, Alex, is that the Packers are clearly the team that is going to represent the NFC. Clearly. But with that being said, is Lambeau Field the hardest place to play at this NFL postseason?
Yes, just because of, I mean, especially when you look at the other NFC teams, they are, there's not really another team that just has the environment, the aura of Lambeau Field.
Superdome with fans, yes.
With or without fans,
Seattle
but
with fans, but also it's a whole
just like
different year, man.
the built-in, the frozen tundra, the cold. You have a whole team that's built around, Aaron Rodgers has an incredible cannon, so he's able to cut through the cold. They have a great run game. They have a defensive line that can get back. They just, aesthetically, when you see a playoff game in Lambeau, you got the breath kind of showing on the players' faces.
You got the steam coming off the heads.
Shooting each other with the breasts.
So good.
It's something that you look for with Lambeau, and it makes you feel warm and cozy on a nice January afternoon, January night. So
being
I
happy
think
that
they
you don't have to
still
be
do
in that
the
game.
best home field advantage. Exactly,
Right.
100%. Those are just the worst, and especially as a quarterback, it's so tough to play in those kind of games. And Aaron Rodgers, it seems like he's built for it. So I think they are clearly the best team in the NFC right now. They're the ones that they haven't had a hiccup recently since that Tampa Bay game. So they're the team right now with the least amount of flaws on paper. So that's all you can kind of look for right now in the NFC. It's just
I would
wide
consider
open
that
NFC.
Vikings game a number of weeks back as a hiccup for the Packers, but at the same time,
don't-
it's
the
a
Vikings team was
divisional
hot,
game
though.
and the Vikings team
Vikings
is
team was
good.
hot.
It could be a small hiccup, but obviously not as bad as that blowout to the Bucks. And then if we look at the hardest parts, the real question here is that which is the hardest place to play? The places you have to look at could be Saints, but they don't have crowds. So I mean, the Superdome is kind of a non-factor at this point. So you have to look at weather. No one cares about crowds. It's all about weather. The Bills, out of all this, it might be able to rival with the worst weather. Because at New York, we all know it can get a lot of snow up there. The Kansas City
I thought we were
Chiefs.
talking about the NFC stuff. My bad.
Oh, sorry. We're just talking all the playoffs, but no worries.
Gotcha.
Because I mean, the top 3 teams in the league Bills, Chiefs, Packers also had the hardest places to play at in the snow with Kansas City, with Buffalo, and with Green Bay. But with all this being said, though, to your point, Alex, it's the hardest home game. I really believe it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. Not looking at the team, not looking at like the actual competition, but because the Chiefs are going to be able to have that stadium gets louder than it does in Lambeau, and it gets just as cold. It really depending, of course, it's all random because I ain't no forecaster, but I ain't no weatherman. But I'd have to go with Kansas City on this one, so I'm gonna sell the statement. But it's very close indeed.
Yeah. The three teams with the strongest arm quarterbacks are also the three teams that play in the coldest home field advantage or home field environments.
It's like those GMs knew what they were doing with this one.
Yeah.
Gotta give it a little bit of credit.
Smart.
But let's finish off this week's breakdown with our power rankings. Of course, week 15, I had from 5 to 1 the Saints, who dropped a few spots that week, the Rams, who were unranked previously. Then we had the Bills and Packers, 3 and 2 respectively, that both moved up a spot from the previous week, and the Chiefs still at the top. And so here, Alex, starting us off in number 5, I have the New Orleans Saints because they dropped a number of spots after their kind of bad loss last week. And now this week they lose to the Chiefs in a competitive game. And looking at who we have outside of the top 5, I think the Saints are okay with keeping this, but it was close.
I still don't understand and don't really get how you continue to disrespect the Cleveland Browns every single week in your power rankings. Why is this not the 5th best team in the NFL right now?
6th best team. It's tough because, I mean, looking at it, ignoring streaks, if we're looking at the teams, like I said, Alex, every week we go to this, the way I try to break a tiebreaker, neutral site, the teams are good on good. Are the
Titans significantly better than the Browns?
You got me in the box there. It's tough because I don't like the Titans. The Titans team that we saw play the Browns, I don't really think that was the Titans. And then also seeing what we saw last week, it's such a tough one between this, dude. So man,
Browns need to be 5th in this list.
Okay,
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, that's what you got. And the 4, I had the Tennessee Titans going from unranked, and they're going to 4. It's because I still like the Titans more than a team.
I don't trust me. I don't mind this. I don't mind.
But you want the Saints to drop out.
I want the Saints out of there.
Okay, that's fair. I had the Titans at 4, and I'm confident with that, especially looking at the 3 teams above them. Man, when that offense is on, and like I said, second best offense. When they have a run game, it's so hard to beat them. Only the Chiefs really could beat them, maybe, when they have everything going. Number 3, we have the same spot. We have the Buffalo Bills because there's no reason to move them there.
Boo.
What do you mean, boo? Don't give me that. What? You want them to?
The Bills are a much better team than the Packers right now.
Man, yeah. Another one, really.
Sorry to pick your rankings.
Hey, I don't mind it. That's what you're here for, right?
I have
That's
issues
fair.
with them.
Base number 2, I had the Packers. I had the Packers slightly above the Buffalo Bills. Flip them.
Neutral site. I'm taking the Bills over the Packers.
Aaron Rodgers versus Josh Allen. Oh.
Josh Allen's playing better than Aaron Rodgers right now.
Debatable.
They have Josh Allen can run the ball, and they're passing the ball almost equally. I like the Bills' skill players way better than the Packers right now. Yeah, the Packers have a better run game and the best receiver on the field, but it's not by a long shot. Devontae Adams isn't having that much better of a year than Stephon Diggs, and I don't think the run game bridges the gap between what you get from Josh Allen in the run game.
Man, just imagine if you're the Packers, if you drafted a wide receiver this year and not just Jordan Love. Trade up for Jordan Love. Oh, that still goes as the worst pick this year, hands down. And then Alex, one thing that I know you won't have a problem with though is the number 1 team. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. Who else?
Yeah, I think this is a open and shut case there for the best team in the NFL. But hold on, I pulled up the Bills rushing stats just because I was curious from last week. But you had Zach Moss 13 for 81, Singletary 8 for 68. He
had that one 50-yard
3
run.
For 33.
He had the 51-yard rush Singletary did late in the game. for a
Yeah,
touchdown.
but 24 for 182, averaging 7.6, 3 touchdowns. I don't know.
Look at the
I think
team.
the Bills are
Look at
better
the team.
than the Packers right now. This
Man.
is your Broncos team.
Yeah.
I thought they had
No.
the Packers played the Panthers.
The Panthers have a way better defense. Well, actually, I don't want to say way better. The defenses are comparable. Okay, fine. I concede. It could be the Bills over the Packers.
So the new power rankings for Week 16 are
Chiefs, Bills, Packers, Titans, Saints.
Give me a break.
You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it.
No.
When I put these official power
whatever.
rankings up on Twitter and Instagram, the graphic
It
is
better
going
be the
to.
Browns.
What are you going
It
to do?
better be the Browns.
I guess
I'm
we'll
not
have to
coming
wait and
back
see,
next
Alex. Well, yeah, you will. We all know it. Don't even give me that. The Rams, of course, they drop off. On the Cup still, we had the Rams because they dropped off. And then the Seahawks, and then the Colts, and then the Browns. They're all right there. And it's just... I love what we see at the top of the league. The top of the league is really like the top 6-7 teams, phenomenal. Then you go to this middle spot where it's just, and then the bottom is bad. But that's going to do it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for sticking in to the end. Of course, before we hop off, just want to thank all of our sponsors on Patreon. Of course, you can go to patreon.com/fourthandlong to get started with that. A few tiers only starts at just $1 a month, and everything you do, we really do appreciate. And everything you do, you get a reward for that as well. So, of course, shout out to Ray Rodriguez. Check out their card company. If you're into cards, check out at Big Bat Box on Instagram. Shout out to Ryan Watson, then also shout out to Neil Wiley. Check out his YouTube Chosen Problems. But ladies and gentlemen, check us out at www.thefourthandlong.com. Check out our most recent interview with Smiling Sam Alvey, light heavyweight fighter in the UFC. Phenomenal guy right there. Alex, I thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, for all at home, Alex, you too. Hope you all have a very... If you listen to this before the 25th, have a very great Christmas. Have a great rest of your holiday. And Alex, our New Year's show, might be doing some stuff soon for that, at least with the UFC. So keep an eye out for that. We'll catch you guys next time.